Hello viewers, welcome to another exciting episode of the Awareness Show. With us at the studio is Natasha Morris. Natasha Morris is our guest co-host this week, and she's going to be joining us in having this conversation. So the topic we have today is titled The Bounce Back, Recovery from Bad Situation. We're going to be discussing this topic, and to do it, we're just going to list 5 points we think, and from the poll that we pull, that our viewers, these are the things that you need to do to actually get bounced back from whatever bad situation that you're facing. So topic number 1, just agree with me or disagree if you think this will work, because this was just a poll that we pulled, right? So the first one they said was take full responsibility of the situation. So I kind of agree, because when you find yourself in a bad situation, owning it is a good way to move on, to begin to move on. Yeah, who disagree with me on this?
It's not necessarily disagreeing. It's in terms of like, because that's a kind of vague, broad situation in terms of taking responsibility. Like what incident? Like what incident was it? Like was it something that happened, like a death or a loss? You know, if somebody, was it like a car accident? Was it like an illness? Was it like, you know, a loss of a job? I totally agree in terms of like finding your way, like owning it, so to speak, and then.
But I think, okay, so I think I didn't do justice to this topic. So let me do that. So when you say bounce it back, right, not in terms of a loss. I don't want us to discuss it in terms of loss. I want us to discuss it in terms of yourself. When you find yourself in bad situation, how do you bounce back? Loss is a grief. Yeah, it's different. Taking responsibility, of course, won't work in that regard, right? Again, it depends on the circumstances. But in this case, I want us to focus on yourself. Like if you face with bad situation, how do you bounce back?
So in that situation, in terms of owning it, because when you're talking, I'm just seeing an actual ball. If you're to hold it up here, in terms of how it bounces, it will be a longer period of time. If you drop it like lower, then it's quicker, but in the end it still bounces, right? So then in terms of reevaluating the situation, saying, okay, well, this is my situation, let me do X, Y, and Z in order to move forward, and realizing that you know, you can only propel forward. Right.
You know? And taking from what you just said, I think basically what we should probably start off with is having ownership of, okay, fine, this situation, I'm in it already. So which way forward? That's the thing. Having a plan, like owning it. That I think basically that's what I'm doing. The responsibility. They're taking responsibility and saying, okay, fine, it's happened. Instead of going and pointing fingers and blaming point A or point B, taking it and moving forward.
You are one woman who went through a lot, right? So do you think that when you were going through whatever it is that you went through, that you had to take responsibility? Did that help? And how does it really? How would you find taking responsibility? I still think it all depends on the circumstances.
I think when you say take responsibility, it more makes it seem as if I did something. But when we're talking and looking at bouncing back and recovering from a bad situation, I know in my case, I have to say to myself, how long am I going to stay down in the situation that I'm in? Am I going to bury my head in the sand, or am I going to just say, you know what, that's what happened then, and today is a new day? You know, so I think some of the things that I had to do was, you have to first start to encourage yourself, you know, to get back that kind of strength and mojo, so to speak, to get yourself back into your regular groove, because certain things can really knock us off of our feet. So having responsibility in the sense that you're responsible for your life. You're responsible for how you manage and cope with the situations that you're in, and for your actions, right?
But Natasha, this is what I want to ask you. What happens to that individual that's unable to do that? You know, we know these things, but when you're placed and submerged in a particular situation, it's easier said than done.
Correct.
So then how does one do that? What advice would you give that individual?
Well, I think one of the things that I would tell anyone is, it also has to do with those whom you surround yourself with.
Most definitely.
Positive influences around you will help you to bounce back from whatever situation you're in. If you're surrounded by positive people and people who have your best interest in heart, then they will, even when you don't want to get up and comb your hair, they'll come and they'll be like, girl, come, comb your hair.
Right.
Let's go out for lunch. You know, let's go watch a movie.
Right.
Do things to get yourself out of the rut, or surround yourselves with people who will help take you out of that situation that you're in. You know, it's only for a time. It's only for a time.
This too shall pass.
You know,
That comes to mind when you say that.
Yeah, it's only for a time.
So, second point is understanding your choices. So this one again throws me off. Just the same way the take responsibility is throwing me off, because again, as I said, it all depends on the circumstances. Yes. This one also is throwing me off, right? Understanding your choices. In what way? How do you ladies feel by understanding your choices? Is it the choices that you are about to make? How does that help you to recover from that situation?
I think it basically means you find yourself in a situation, or obviously something has already happened, so you're trying to get yourself out of it, or how do you move on from it? So that, when it comes to choices, it's like, okay, fine, I've woken up, what's the best thing to do? You've accepted, or you've taken responsibility for whatever it is,
and having an
now
action
you have
plan.
a plan.
But again, making a bad choice will stay. You still not bounce back.
I recently spoke to a friend. I spoke to a friend, and I was like, I needed her to help me out with something, and she was like, I expected to probably get like an immediate response, but she didn't respond to me. She didn't email me back. She didn't take my text immediately. It took her like a while. Then when she did, she was like, she had to sleep over it.
Yes,
I was like,
to think about
I was like,
it's a good friend.
Sleep over it. Wasn't it like a decision? Initially, I wanted to feel offended, like, wasn't it something you could just decide on your own as a woman? She said no, it wasn't even having to ask her partner or her husband or anything, but it was for her to sleep over it.
Right.
And now I tend to understand. Now I understand it, because there's some situations now, and I picked from it. I tapped from what she said. If I find myself in a situation, I think, or things like that, sleep over it. Because sometimes when you said something, having to make a decision, and you might make the wrong one. But if you sleep, you don't make the decision immediately, and you say, give me a day or two.
I agree with you, Sylvia.
I
agree with you.
So on that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue this very exciting conversation. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on break, we were just discussing this topic we titled Recovering from Bad Situations. So that's what we're discussing about, and we're going to continue to do that. But we had already listed 2 points on what the poll says, these are the things you should do in order to effectively bounce back, right? So point number 3, it says apologize and explain. Apologize and explain. That is a tricky one. That is a tricky one. Apologize if you feel that the situation, you wrong whoever it is, or you are wrong. You can even apologize to yourself. There's nothing wrong with apologizing to yourself and say, you know what, Joan, forgive yourself. That is a good way to bounce back. Once you've been able to accept, apologize to yourself, and then explanation part is what I don't know. Who do you owe explanation to? Is it still now yourself? Again, it still depends on every situation. The situation is what warrants whether you need to go and explain or not. So that's just my take on this.
I think the apology also is helps you to move forward in the situation that you're in. If you're in a bad situation and you deem that the situation needs an apology, be it to the other person or even to yourself, this is what will help you to start the recovery process in coming out of the situation. Because sometimes the apology is not necessarily for the other person, it's for yourself. Just like forgiveness, right?
That's right.
So forgive me, or I apologize that I said or did something that you didn't appreciate or approve. Because, you know, what may be a joke to us is something that may be detrimental to somebody else, right? So sometimes I agree with when we were discussing prior to the break, understanding your choices, because sometimes our choice may not be someone else's choice, and our decision may not be someone else's decision, but it had left them feeling, or left you feeling like, I am in a bad situation, and how do I get out? I think apologizing to the individual and to yourself is something that will help you to move forward. If an explanation is required, I think each situation is different. But sometimes you do need to say to the person, listen, I made this choice because Now looking at it, I realized that maybe I should have slept on it, or maybe I should have thought about it more, or I shouldn't have said it. So I just want to explain to you as to where I was coming from when it happened.
I'm in total agreement with all of you ladies in terms of the apology. Sometimes it's a little hard, but and again, you know, at some point you need to do it again, as everyone is reiterating, not just for the other individual, but for yourselves. So being that I have a 14-year-old as well too, like sometimes there's things as a parent that you do as well too, but we make it a rule in our household to, like, you know, have that open dialogue, that communication, say, okay, listen, this is what has happened.
Right. Yes. On my part, I don't think explanation of it is really necessary.
Yeah,
because again, in each circumstances, then you know what to apply in each circumstances. Explanation, to me, is one. There are some people you owe explanation to. There are some people you don't owe explanation to.
Yes.
When it comes to family, yes, explanation is very, very necessary. Very necessary when it comes. In short, it's paramount when it comes to family.
And to those who are close to you, I think as well, too, is warranted.
Right. And then what it is whether the explanation will help you out of the situation. That's when it might get some situation worse. You having to explain yourself might makes it worse. But again, it's a good start. So we're gonna move on, right? So the next point they say is focus on the present. What do you think on this?
I think it's very important to not look at the past, because you cannot change your past. You can only change your future or your present, what's happening at the current time. And when we spend too much time focusing on the bad situation or the past, we're missing out on valuable time to make our present situation better than what the past was.
Doesn't the past define the present and the future?
I'm sorry to interrupt, because I know that we're a team and stuff, but even when you were speaking, Natasha, I was going, I'm not sure if you heard or the viewers heard, but yes, we have to focus on the present, but if you don't know your past, how can you move forward? You need to, like, look at certain things and tackle them in order to move forward. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just matters how long you're going to stay there
Right. But when we talk about focusing on the present, I would like to think at this point, it's our fourth point in the 5 points that we were all discussing, that by this time we've dealt with the past.
It says who?
Forgiven your past.
Well, I'm just saying from my perspective, I'm thinking that at this point,
individually,
I'm looking at the fact that I've dealt with the past, because prior to this, we said that we're going to apologize either to ourselves or to the individual. So therefore, I no longer have to focus on
we can say it, but I think with these 5 things, or like we're on the 4th one, I think that sometimes you'll revisit them again.
But yeah, sometimes I think personally, if something has already happened or the deed has been done and you've apologized to yourself and you've made the decision to move on. Focusing, going back to the past is like looking in your red.
It's not necessarily focus.
You see that not reading this well, focus on the present? How do you forget the past?
No, not like you're going to forget the past. However, for you to move on and be positive, you have to probably not forget. You know it's always going to be there, but you have to let it be and let go. Just move on.
Okay. How about our last point? That's it. Be proactive in the future.
Be positive.
Attitude determines altitude.
Exactly.
If your attitude's here, that's how far you will go. If your attitude's there, that's where you remain.
Because if you keep going back and you're still lamenting about the past, it's just going to pull you down. But if you forget it, sense of humor, laugh about it, pray about it, and move on. Look for the positivity. Don't dwell on the negative.
And Joan, you said,
go ahead.
You had said that, you know, we're human beings. And so for me to say to our viewers that you would never think about the situation would be a total lie, right? But it's how you're going to deal with it. Because if you apologize to yourself or the individual, if you go back and you keep bringing it up or dwelling on it, then that apology was in vain.
It's not even you bringing it up. It's just as I think we're all saying the same thing. But again, it depends on the individual.
And the circumstances. So on that note, we're going to move to our next topic. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing another exciting topic. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers. So we're still on a similar topic, but this one we've titled this, The Substance of You. Have you really found you? Oh, wow. What an exciting topic this one is going to be. I love this. I really love this. How can any of you say they've really found themselves? But guess what? I don't want us to be everywhere on this topic. I want us to narrow it down. We're going to be discussing this on self-substance and moral character. So that's what I want us to discuss on, because this topic can take us up, down, everywhere. But based on those 2 points, who can really say they found themselves? For me, it's still a struggle. I can say I found myself to some extent. It's still a struggle. For me, though. I think
I know for sure that I've found myself. I know who I am. I'm comfortable in my skin. If there's something I think, I just say no. Because I know nobody's going to kill me if I say what I want to say. You want to badmouth me, have fun. I dust you off and I move on.
Silver.
Oh, yes, sweetie. That's good. However, in my case, when I say it's still a struggle, it's perfection is where you are not perfect. That is when you say, I have found myself.
Really?
Yes.
Can somebody be perfect?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, that perfection is something you might seek, you can never get there. Until you are not perfect, you have not fully found yourself. It's still a work in progress for everyone. Because guess what? When you say moral character, there are some things you would not think you would do.
And sometimes you find yourself
sometimes you find yourself doing
sometimes not doing for yourself, maybe doing for your children.
Exactly.
But you were saying, Joan, in terms of it being a work in progress, right? So for the individuals that have not found themselves, you know, again, it's like a sense of reflection, a daily reflection.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes it's just something simple as, okay, writing down the things that you like about yourself, things that you dislike about yourself, the things that you would like to see, whether it's like you being one with nature and just like practicing mindfulness, you know, surrounding yourself, as Natasha had said with the other episodes or whatnot, in terms of surrounding yourselves around people, with positive individuals that can, you know, promote this newfound you, so to speak.
I think we're all still a work in progress.
Of course.
Right? And in saying that, if we're all a work in progress, I think when we find the substance of who we are is when you're at peace and you're happy with yourself. I don't think there's a real definition of this is what the true substance of an individual is.
Because it'll be different for everyone,
It
right?
is, right? So I think it's when you're happy, when you're comfortable with yourself.
In your own skin.
Right, in your own skin. And as you said earlier, it's also when you can say how you feel, as long as it's not maliciously
without
and
worrying.
without worrying.
With what other people are going to say.
What are they going to say? Right.
Yeah, and again, it's something that what you do when somebody's not looking.
Yes.
That is exactly when you know you have not at all. Because sometimes we tend to do things and you think, oh, well, nobody's going to know.
Right.
Or no, especially with somebody like me, a lot is expected of me. I don't know why, but I do know. A lot is expected of me, especially from my children. When I do certain things, my daughter will be like,
yes,
Mom, like, come on, what were you thinking?
Yes.
I'll be like, I am not perfect.
But in their eyes, they see you as
because
you're the role model.
Exactly.
The epitome of everything.
Exactly. Especially when it comes to self-esteem, right? Yeah. So I will have something, or maybe if I have to go and speak in public, I'll be nervous, and I will be like, my daughter will be like, oh, Mommy, don't worry, you got this. I'll be like, really, you think so?
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need to hear from them.
Exactly. But it is not true. I still worry. Yeah. We all worry.
Yeah, but sometimes it's as you said, it's a struggle. Speaking of your daughter, when I was leaving the house and I was coming for the show, I had on the boo-boo, I had my makeup on, but I came out and oh, Mom, you look good, nice hair. And I saw a frown on my daughter's face. I'm like, what is it? Like, are you judging me or something? And she was like, you look like you have a makeup, but you don't look dressed. I'm like, oh no, this you don't expect me to wear this. I'm going to wear. So that I understand where you're coming from, that sometimes your kids are like, they expect a lot from you. So when they don't say it, they go like,
And they could be your hardest critic. They could be your hardest critic, that's true, right? Because we've taught them a certain standard. We've taught them morals. I've always said to my son, you know, integrity is what you do not only when mommy's looking. Integrity is what you do when you're at school, when you're at, you know, a game or with your friends. How I see you and how I know you at home is how you should be everywhere you go.
That's right.
So when we come out of character, so to speak, and we do something that we've told them isn't right, or, you know, we start criticizing ourselves like, you know, oh, I could lose weight, or I wish I could gain weight, or I don't like this look. You know, they're the first to say, but Mom, didn't you say that you should love yourself the way you are? And that's how God
listen. They listen, they're like sponges.
Okay, ladies, so now, what do we advise our viewers? We're not saying take it, but let's just discuss what you think are some of the ways to really say, well, you know what, I think I know who I am. You know what, even though I said it's a work in progress, to be honest, on the bigger picture, I know more. I am unshakable. Nothing shakes me.
I know you too well.
Nothing shakes me. Nothing at all under this earth that shakes someone like me.
And you know what? You had to learn that, because when we think of things, right, or even habits, it normally takes 30 days. So as we all say, it's a work in progress. So as long as we know that we don't beat up ourselves, and we know that it is a work in progress, and we will reach that goal, then, you know, that's a great
And it's what life throws at us, right?
Throws
Hardship can, you know, they said the most precious things go through some tremendous things, such as a diamond and a pearl, right? And so sometimes it's the hardship that we have lived through as mothers, as women, as businesswomen, as sisters, as aunts, just even for our own individual selves, that will show us the substance of who we are.
When I say nothing shakes me, not really literally, like, of course, things can come my way and I'll be like, but the way I handle it is why I'm saying nothing shakes me, because there's nothing I have not seen. Nothing I have not seen. So we're gonna take a short break, viewers. When we come back, we're just gonna wrap up this conversation. We'll be right back. Well, viewers, welcome back from the break. We were discussing the substance of you. Have you really found you? Well, some of us said, well, they are unshakable, people like one. Even though I get shaky sometimes, but on the big picture, I am unshakable. I can declare that because I have God with me. I am unshakable. However, we were saying, different circumstances, depending on what the circumstances is, you can be shaking, or you can have that self-confidence that nothing under the earth can can change who you are. But our viewers are not thinking the way we think, so we're going to give them the platform to ask a question. And we have a question from Twitter or Facebook. Which one is that?
We have a Facebook question.
Could you please read that? Let's see.
And it's from Kendrick. He's saying, I'm living life as a proper man. However, these days I am approaching 40 years old and I think my life has no meaning. I want to find this meaning, but I don't know how. Is there a way of finding meaning, or a way to be inspired to find a new goal in life at 40? Ladies, what do you think? He's a man.
When he said his life has no meaning, he has to define his life. Life is what you make of it, right? And approaching 40, you would like to think that you've had some experiences, you've done some things, you know, in life. I think that maybe, and I could be wrong, Kendrick, but I think sometimes we are looking for others to fulfill the joy or define our lives, but we have to know what it is that we're searching for first before we can add to even anyone else's life, right?
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Natasha, because when I heard, Silva, that you read this in terms of what Kendrick had said, you know, like, is he defining this joy, or like, how is he defining life?
He says he wants
other
to
people.
Find meaning.
Yes, so maybe he's looking at in other people, and when he doesn't have that, he feels this way.
But what I think, I'm just going to try to, because he's vague.
Yes.
He didn't narrow it down.
Is it that he's looking for a wife, or he's looking for a job,
at 40, he's still not. At 40, he's still searching. So it's either he has made very bad choices, or the choices that he thought he made that are good are turning out not to be good. For example, in terms of career. So let's say he probably went to university and he doesn't like what he's doing anymore with his career path. Finding another becomes difficult. Becomes difficult at 40. Right. So it's probably confused in that area. But I would say to you, Kendrick, his name?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just you on this. A lot of people are confused. We are confused in certain things. But what I would advise you do is try to see what it is that is making you unfulfilled. Most people, they find fulfillment in family. Maybe you have no wife. Get married. Sometimes I find that family can bring you some fulfillment. Maybe you are in the wrong profession. Find another. Maybe you have no education. Go get a course.
Yeah, but you should not go find a wife because he's not feeling fulfilled. Because that's
no, but
it stems from self.
I'm saying sometimes family can make you feel
fulfilled. Family, his loved ones.
Because for me, trust me, without the family that I have, I will be as confused as you. So if you don't have that, acquire one. That can bring you some fulfillment.
Kendrick, he also said he's looking for a way to be inspired, to find a new goal.
So that is what I say. Going back to school,
or changing your career.
Changing your career might help.
Networking, going out to various events, meeting new people, trying to find something out. Yeah.
Find something new. If you're stuck in your old ways, and let's say maybe he's 40 and not kind of boring, maybe he doesn't party.
He's used to doing something a certain way.
You're used to being indoors.
Do something different.
Yeah, try going out, try hanging at the beach, go to a bar, take a drink, meet a girl.
Don't go to a bar.
What I'm saying, you can go to parties or go out with a friend, go have lunch. Call your old school friends.
And love being with yourself.
Yeah.
Because somebody that's confused like you incorporate buying.
I don't mean you going to the bar to go. That's not what I mean. I mean go out. Go out.
Do something that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. Go out of your comfort zone. Yeah. Go have fun.
Kendrick, there's a lot of meetup groups on various.
Even online.
Online, there's a lot of meetup groups. I think it's called Meetup Toronto. There's a lot of meetup groups that has different
networking.
It can be for people who love golfing, people who love water skiing, fishing, going to movies, reading books, try and network with these types of individuals.
Go to the gym.
Go grocery shopping.
Anyway, so Kendrick, I hope you've taken our. Do we have any other questions?
No, that's
it. Yeah. Again, this is a huge topic. It's huge. We just spent 15 minutes trying to tell you or what we think, right? But it's still individual. For me, I said I have found who I am to some extent. But it's still a work in progress for me.
Yes.
And from what I hear you ladies saying, we are on the same part of it. It's a work in process. Yeah. And that's how it's going to be for you. It isn't whether you found yourself or the substance of you or whatever, it is how you live your life, your day-to-day life, the things you attach importance to. And guess what? The ultimate thing to attach importance to is God. Yeah. God is the only one that can bring you fulfillment. Yes. You can be fulfilled in career. You can be fulfilled in marriage, in children wise. If you don't have that spiritual fulfillment, you are nobody. But if you have that spiritual fulfillment, you can have nothing and you will still be fulfilled. So on that note, we're going to leave this topic. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us. I hope you come back because we really didn't touch a lot on your life. Where you are right now, you are fulfilled. I know you are fulfilled. So you are going to come back and you're going to join us on another topic right?
Yes.
Is that a promise?
I will.
Okay.
I will.
All right. So viewers, we've come to the end of this exciting episode. Please stay tuned to our next week episode and we enjoy having you today. Thanks for tuning in.